Hello there, everybody. Today we are going to cover Chapter 2 and talk about the professional responsibilities of auditors and CPAs. So first off, we want to look a little bit at exactly what it means to be a professional and how these different traits of professionals apply to auditors. So you have to meet a certain level of expertise if you want to be a professional in any field. So think of somebody that's a professional athlete. They've spent years and years training to get to a certain level. They have an expertise in what they're doing to practice at the highest levels. Same idea in respect to auditors and CPAs. And in fact, to be licensed as a CPA, you have to show that you have a certain amount of on-the-job training. You have to show that you have educational attainment, and also you have to pass the 4 levels of the CPA exam, which shows that you have a certain foundation of accounting knowledge before you're able to practice as a CPA. So, like some other professions, there's a concern for public interest when you work as a CPA. So, of course, you want to do your best job, for your firm. You want to help your client and so forth. But also, there's this overarching interest in doing what's good for society as a whole. And of course, auditors, their main function on a financial statement audit is to sign off on the financial statements, giving assurance, all right, to the end users that these statements contain good information. And then the end users are going to have that guarantee that they have this reasonable assurance when they make decisions based on these financial statements. So being that the auditors are kind of protecting information for society as a whole, all right, we call that a concern for the public interest. Now, there's rights and responsibilities that go along with having the CPA credential. First off, CPAs have the unique right to sign or audit and attest reports. All right, so only a CPA can sign off on audited financial statements. CPAs also have the right to sign tax returns as preparers. Note other licensed tax preparers have this right as well. Other tax preparers, though, cannot sign off on audits. So CPAs can both sign off on audit and attest reports, and they could also sign off on tax returns as well. Also, the CPA has a responsibility to follow professional standards. We're going to talk a lot in this chapter about the code of professional conduct that CPAs are required to follow, and we're going to look at some ethical dilemmas CPAs might encounter when they're trying to follow this code as they go about performing their job functions. And also, I should note, the CPAs also have to take continuing education courses yearly to kind of brush up on skills. So again, this kind of bolsters their level of expertise. Not only do they meet the initial requirements to be licensed as CPAs, but they get this continuous education throughout their careers. So CPAs follow what's called the AICPA Code of Professional Conduct. So basically, this is a commitment by members of the profession to uphold certain ethical principles and rules of conduct. And this is very important because, again, the public's trust is being placed in the CPAs. So we want to make sure as practicing CPAs that we are upholding the highest standards in actually undertaking audits of public companies. Now, the code has a couple different elements. First off is principles, which are non-enforceable kind of overarching thoughts on how an auditor should behave. So think of principles as kind of the skeleton or the framework of ethics. Then we have rules, which are enforceable. So rules get into more the specifics of how CPAs should approach different potential problems or conflicts of interest. And also we have interpretations, which kind of show us how we can actually apply these rules in practice. And we can see here the structure of the AICPA's Code of Professional Conduct. And one thing I want to point out, it's kind of subdivided into different parts depending on the role of the particular member of the AICPA. So all members are required to follow kind of the principles here that we see in the preface to the Code of Conduct, and you could kind of note some of the different areas that we have here. And this kind of differs again based on what your role is as a CPA. So if you're a member in public practice, meaning that you're working for a CPA firm, you're actually going out as a CPA and auditing financial statements, you have these additional parts of the code that you're going to follow, kind of part 1 here, the area for members in public practice. So if you're ever working as a CPA, you're obligated to follow this area of the code. And if you're working as a CPA in public practice, you're also obligated to follow this area of the code. And we're going to talk about these subsections in a little bit more detail later on. 2 other areas where you're required to follow the code, again, depending on the nature of the work you do. A CPA that's a member in business, meaning this is like a CPA that works for a company, maybe as their CFO or as the controller of a company. So they're not practicing as a CPA. They have a CPA license, but they're not going out and auditing other companies' financials. Nonetheless, they're still CPAs. They're obligated to follow the preface to the code, but there's a very specific area within the code that kind of governs actions of members in business. Also, we could have other members who are part of the AICPA, but don't necessarily practice as CPAs, and they're obligated to kind of follow this section here of the code.